Hello there and welcome back to my channel to a very special video because as of last week I have the official title Master of Science. I'm not making this up, I can say it with a straight face. I'm a chemist now. I'm a chemical engineer to be a bit more precise, and it has been one hell of a journey, and it's really surreal being able to say this. I still cannot really believe, first of all, that I am now officially equipped with this title, if you want to see it like that, but also that now all the stress, all the work has come to a good end, to a very good end, in fact. And this is what I wanted to talk about today. And it has been nearly over 6 years actually that Krebs made a video where he made it into the title "I'm a pharmacist!" exclamation mark. And so that's now my title. I'm a chemical engineer. That's the video title. And at the end of the video, I have some pictures from my actual work. Now, members of my Discord that were with me over the last few months actually have sometimes seen some signs what I was doing, because it was a lot of work and I stood up, or I played a few games of War Thunder, then went back into the laboratory, wrote down some notes and some data, went back to play War Thunder, let the stuff just do its thing. Can't really tell you what exactly I did because basically NDA. And yeah, I just wanted to make this a little bit of a motivation speech for you all, because I think it's very important to understand what a journey it was for me and what kind of obstructions were there in my way. And so I won't start with September of 2019. I got green light from my professor. Yes, now you can do the last step of your studying your master thesis. And usually a master thesis on paper takes 6 months, in the majority of cases 7 to 8 months. In my case, one attempt and one actual successful attempt took almost 2 years. And then I wrote a lot of applications, and I was extremely lucky to find or to got accepted by a big, very big chemical company in our hometown, or in my hometown. And so a few weeks later, I actually could start working on the master thesis there. But then it got into December of 2019, and the first news of the coronavirus made their appearance. Nobody really took it too serious except the head of the company. It's a global player. So they also had their production sites in China and in general in Asia, and also in Europe and USA, etc. So they took really precautions to make sure that it doesn't really spread in the company. And yeah, one of the problems was that I received an email from my boss basically telling me to do some home office. Now that was a problem because I had to do work in the laboratory, gathering data, making some tests, etc. And the problem was I can't do experiments at home. Get your Breaking Bad jokes out of the way right now. So yeah. I've heard them all. Can you do meth? Can you do cocaine, etc.? Yeah. So basically, I was in a tricky situation, and further complications arose when my contract ran out and I couldn't really make it last longer, and because it was then firm policy, whatever. And so I didn't have enough data. Basically, I made it then working for the company, and then wrote again applications to dozens of companies all over Germany, in the south, the north, and the west. But I just didn't get any response. And to make a very long, complicated story short, there was one last trick upon my sleeve. There was one last trump card that I had available. So I contacted somebody and just stated my point with what happened, etc. And if he has an idea. And in fact, the person I actually worked previously as a student to do some research, and well, it seems like he made some good experience with me. And this is where all started. So that's almost a year later when then I could start my second attempt at a master thesis. And well, I had all the opportunities because what I got was an empty room. And I'm not kidding. It was also not in my hometown, as you can expect, but it was 480 kilometers from where I actually live. And that was in the eastern part of Germany, the former GDR. And well, I started with an empty room, literally an empty room. The only thing in there were the windows and the door. I'm not kidding. No tables, no chairs, no equipment whatsoever. Nothing, nada. And I had a very, very limited budget. So it looked really grim because my task was to make out of a chemical waste product a food additive of pharmaceutical grade and some other conditions, a very special one, etc. And it required a lot of very special equipment, amongst them, for example, a glove box and an oven with inert gas supply, and also the cleaning of the off gas, etc. That's just the very basic things that I can talk you through. And I had to build everything myself, except the oven, where I was extremely lucky and found a used one from a university that had to gather some money, and they just wanted to sell it and just to clear the space and get some money back. And this was the lucky turning point. And from there on, I put a lot, and I mean a lot of work into the laboratory, which I built myself. Because after all, an empty room is full of opportunities. I know that sounds almost philosophical, but that was true for me. So giving up was never an option. Just to give in was never an option. Just to make a compromise and settle for the low bar was not an option. I had to pull it off. I had to really make this one count. And what should I say? After weeks and weeks of writing emails, of making phone calls, trying to get connections, etc., I finished working on the basic laboratory, and I could do the first experiments, the first tests. And it developed, and I got better and better with my results. And at the end, I actually pulled it off to make out of a chemical waste product a very special food additive in a form that is rather unique, so to speak, and I think nobody can really easily copy. So then I just had all this data, and then the writing began. And the writing is a different level of horror, let me tell you that. I actually made weeks and weeks of night shifts of writing and writing and writing, and it was not the amount but the quality of stuff that you wrote, how you could just concentrate up, so to speak, the information, and how you could just say so many things with just a few words in a very special shape, with just the graphs and the pictures and everything, all just with very good description, and all the unnecessary part thrown out. And I think 80% of the work that I actually did was not even mentioned in the actual master thesis, the written part. And it was, a different scale of horror for me personally. And when I finally was done with it, I was also in the state of, oh my god, I still have to write. Then I had a few weeks left, and I had to prepare the final presentation, the master thesis defense, basically. It was like 30 minutes of talking about what I did and presenting the results, and then like also another half an hour of discussion. Now here is one thing. I was very lucky to get a professor that already had a lot of experience with companies, and he himself worked at a company previously, so he knew how it was to literally get mad about, you know, the special screws that you don't have, the seals that are not available, etc., etc. That is like this micromanagement. And then also due to COVID, there were the supply chains were long. Everybody was in home office. Stuff just didn't work out as it should be. But eventually, just like that, I got lucky, and all the things just came together. And in the final presentation, they acknowledged the sheer amount of work, the circumstances, but also that I managed to get good results and to also explain the results, all the theory, all the literature that I provided, etc. So I got a very good grade. And now I can show you some pictures. Here, for instance, we have a quartz glass crucible inside of the quartz glass oven, and you can see on the left hand side the inert gas supply, and on the right hand side the off gas pipeline, so to speak. And with that, I did the overwhelming majority of experiments. It was something that I came up with, and then I had a lot of help in actually doing this, in manufacturing it. And then, for instance, one of the experiments resulted in this quartz glass crucible almost getting eaten up. If something eats up glass and it is not fluorine or fluoride, you know that serious stuff is involved. So that was the first type of crucible that I experimented with, and actually the one that I did the most experiments with. But there was also another one, which was a very special Titan crucible, and there you can see it after the experiment, where where you can see all the various different colors, the various different oxides and chlorides. And also on the left hand side you could see the quartz glass crucible, another one where on the inside there was a metal mirror actually vaporized from the actual crucible on it. So harsh were the conditions that I needed, and it looks beautiful, but it also showed that the conditions were really, really rough. And this is a very special picture, as it shows the very first aqueous solution of my product being clear, as it should be, as it is one of the requirements. And you can see there is no insoluble part, there is no color in it. It looks like water, and the majority of it is actually water, but the solution itself was water-like, and that was one of the goals. And this is also a very beautiful picture. There you can see that while the experiment was running, the off gas was filled with some very happy, colorful vapors, and they ranged from yellow to orange, partially red, to also a purple violet mixture. And that was exactly what I had to expect. And so this was also something that I think was very successful and very good looking. And again, you can see that the seals were tight. So then the final product looked like this. And this is a picture made through the glass of my own built glove box. And yeah, I had to protect it from water and oxygen basically. And that was the almost monocrystal that was, well, my final product in the quality required. Now the TLDR, or basically the take-home message, is never give up, put a lot of work in every day, and you might not see how this could get to a good end or how this should ever take an end to begin with, but at some point you're done with your work. At some point you can have success despite all the odds being against you. And if I could do this, so you can do it as well. And I am still baffled by what I achieved, what I could actually do under pressure, and that it's now over. And I'm actually a chemical engineer, that I have the title Master of Science in Chemistry. It's amazing. And I just wanted to make this a little bit of a motivation speech for you. You can do it as well. just do it. Just like with the meme, just do it. And that's it for me today. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you kind of find it interesting and helpful. And as usual, we'll see each other somewhere in War Thunder.